Actually, welcome everybody. Hopefully I've had a chance to welcome you personally. Um, we're all in the same boat here. We've all been kind of thrust into a world of uncertainty. And my theme is really about storms. And I kind of see this as a tsunami of global proportions and trying to help sales leaders manage their way through this, lead their way through it. And, as I think it was Lloyd's comments, most companies have done a pretty good job, I'd say, to this point, finding ways to transition their team to work from home. And sales teams are probably not difficult to do that because most of them do work from home. And they're also finding ways to keep their salespeople productive, keep them motivated, and have some fun during what we all find is a difficult time. Um, what top sales leaders do, as I have written here, is they provide direction, inspiration, and leadership. And I've broken the series down into direction, inspiration, and leadership. And this has been based on discussions I've had with many sales leaders, clients, folks I know. And really, this is all brand new content. So hopefully it's good. I've spent a bit of time on this. I'm working on next week's. And really, my goal is to provide you with some insights. I have a different process for building plans, one that's simple and effective, and I do it in different ways. And then, of course, the inspiration and mindset to weather us through the storm. So just to sort of give you an overview, today's masterclass is about building what I call a reaction plan, because we're not proactive. We're all reacting to what's going on. And at least on my survey or my informal survey of companies, most have been doing a very good job working week to week. So someone's got some vibrations going on there. So I'm not sure if you can maybe mute yourself out. Hopefully we're back to normal by May. I know one of my clients has looked at the Chinese modeling and they're multinational and feels they should be back to business by May, but who knows? But what if it actually lasts till June, July, or August, or even September? Are you guys prepared? I'm just going to see if there's, okay, it's gone quiet now. So basically today we're going to talk about a 5-step process developing a reaction plan. It's short, sharp, it's on a 1-pager. Hopefully you've all downloaded the workbook. If you haven't, can you please do so? And next week we're going to talk about what I call modeling a positive mindset. And I know everyone's tried to be positive. Oops, I'm going to see if give me 1 second here. I can hear a voice in the background.
Yeah, we might need to master mute everyone.
Yeah, that's so I'm looking for the switch. That's what I'd like to do. Mute. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. It's nice to have a co-captain more. Let's see if I can just. Okay, it's gone quiet now, so I hope I haven't made anyone too self-conscious. There is a button to mute everybody. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think everybody's muted now. Terrific. Okay, so let me just carry on to what week 2 looks like. Bear with me, folks. Okay, give me 1 second and we'll be back to, I won't attempt this risky move again. Anyways, I hope you're all having fun. Masterclass 2, so modeling a positive mindset. And what I mean by modeling is, one, as the sales leader, as the leader, any leader in an organization, it's really up to you to maintain your own mindset and really be positive, because in times of uncertainty, most people find themselves overwhelmed, anxious, and highly stressed. As a result, we see a lot of self-doubt, less confidence, less energy, and probably less successes. So I can't underestimate the importance of having a positive mindset at this time Some experts say that 95% of the battle in sales comes down to mindset, and I don't think they're far off. The difference is in my approach is I'm trying to look at it as a surround sound approach, as I mentioned, and I'll show you my diagram, but really looking at yourself, your people, your customers, and of course your boss / your company. And really it's up to you. The message to you is that it's up to you to model it. After the course, I'm happy to share the slides and for you to do it with your salespeople and your customers, and make sure you stay tuned for next week. You're all enrolled in all the sessions. The third and last one, and maybe there'll be more if we get some requests, but we're building what I call core leadership principles, which really looks at, the fact is leadership at this point matters more than anything. As a leader, your salespeople are looking for direction, support, and guidance. And I've broken this down into what I call the 5 C's, or 5 core leadership principles, which include compassion, care, communication only counts as one, connection, and of course cadence, because we do want to maintain accountability during this process, because we still at some point will be responsible for delivering upon our goals. So in a nutshell, as we embark upon this journey through rough storms, you are going to be the beacon, or you are the beacon, to shine light and help your people get clear direction, to help your team understand what the new goals are, expectations, and they need to know what they need to do to be successful and how you're going to track success. We need also help strengthen their minds. So even though the seas may be rough, that we're able to calm our minds, our bodies, our spirit, so we can weather the storm no matter how long it lasts. Because part of the issue is, as one of my clients said, if I knew what date this was all going to end, I'd be much more relaxed, even if it's 3 months from now. The problem is we don't know. There's so much uncertainty. And then really following core leadership principles, which is the beacon of light, being more compassionate and caring, but also maintaining accountability is key. So for those of you who don't know me, I don't like doing this, but it's a nice picture, by the way. I like it. But anyways, that's why I showed it. But I want to just share a little bit about me. I have led sales forces. I've also carried the bag. I've done every single position in a sales organization. And about 17 years ago, I left industry and started my own business called Star Results. And really what I do is we're a sales leadership coaching and development company. Very much a boutique. We work with a small group of customers, but really try to transform them and create transformational processes where sales leaders, just like you, have become stars in their organization. And just what I'm most proud of over the last few years is, one, I've been recognized as a top sales influencer in the world. My blog, sales management blog, has received recognition. And of course, I have a book out which has also received recognition called 52 Sales Management Tips, the Sales Manager Success Guide. So that's it about me. You're welcome to go see my site at www.starresults.com. So let's just have a little bit of fun here. I'm going to go out and do a poll, and I just want to ask you one question. Have you developed a 90-day plan of action, or has your organization developed a 90-day plan of action? And basically there are 3 answers. And it's anonymous, so I'm not going to look at what your answers are. I believe I've launched the poll. So it's either yes, they have, no, I'd like to develop one, or you know what, not me, I'm happy with status quo, no need to develop a plan. So if you can all input, we can then see the results of the poll. Okay, so don't put it in the chat. I assume everyone can see the poll. Luigi, are you able to see the poll? Maybe you can type that into chat.
I cannot see the poll.
I cannot.
No, we can't.
So let me try it like this. How about now?
Still no. Still no.
Still can't see the poll.
Yeah.
It says it's been launched. I can see it. So then I'll move away from that. My apologies. Maybe you can type in the box. I have a one not yet, 2 yeses. So kudos to you. I'll just leave it for a few more folks to to type in. Yes, Brian says yes. Eric says yes. Katie is working on it. So we have quite a few yeses here. Then maybe you guys don't need to see the rest of this, but let's go back, and I'm obviously going to skip polls and take the tutorial on them. Okay, so here's sort of the why, who, what, and when of developing a 90-day reaction plan. Okay, and the reason why I call it a reaction plan is that none of us have planned for this scenario, but we do, as we have done, need to react. So why? You know, it's so much uncertainty out there. It's important for your people to have clarity of direction, your customers to understand what you're doing, and really to make sure that you're prepared, not just this week, because a lot of folks have been doing a great job preparing week by week, but looking out at the crisis at least 90 days. So who should be developing one? I say every sales leader needs to map out a plan. We have a one-page plan template that you can see in the download that you have. And it's really about you putting together a plan for your team. Even if you're a sales rep, you may want to put together a plan. When? Well, as they say with planting trees, there's no time like now. You've had 3 to 4 weeks of experience in this lockdown. So really you should now be saying, hey, what are we going to do over the next 90 days? And obviously some of you are doing that, so kudos to you. And what? So I'm going to take you through the what of what it looks like and how we can do it. So today, basically what we'll cover is developing your 90-day reaction plan. We're going to quickly assess your remote capabilities. I assume everyone's done fine. Analyze and respond to your customers' needs, how to do that. Determine what are your critical success factors going forward, and determine how you're going to measure those successes. Very simple in most plans. So we've broken it down into the 5 steps. 1 is remote, assessing your remote capabilities. 2 is, what is the reality? Have we analyzed where our customers are at, where our people are at, and where our company's at? Have we reset? There's probably a need to be resetting goals, expectations, and then refocus. What do our people need to do to achieve the new goals? And then, like any good plan, if you don't have a review process in place, well, then it's nice to plan, but it's really, you have to see how things are moving forward. So remote capabilities, I had a poll plan for this. I'll skip over the poll and then maybe you guys can put in some answers. I have basically 1 quick question, but in your workbook, there's 5 questions, and it's either a yes or a no answer. Has your company successfully transitioned to a work from home environment? 2, do you have the right hardware in place? 3, like me, do your people know how to use the communication tools effectively? So there's room for improvement on my end there for sure. Is there any additional training they need? And are you using technology to conduct customer and staff meetings? So really what I'd like to know from you folks, and I'm going to go to the comments section and see if you haven't hit a 5 on 5 on this, what area do you most need to improve upon? What are some of the areas that you're working on, or is everything great? And let me just go to chat. Okay, oops. Everything is great. Alyssa, okay. Katie, the oil crisis in the US is hard. In my area, we are energy hub of the country. Okay, so your clients are being affected. Anybody else that has some areas that they want to improve upon? Okay, training, Manny, of course. Constant training in terms of being able to work remote. Okay, so there's obviously opportunities based on what Eric says to improve and maximize. So Peter, your salespeople are good. Customer action is hard for us now. Okay. Be interested to know why, but Manny, can you type in why you're having some challenges with customer interactions? Are your surgeons not answering the phone, or do not want to come on? Oh, here we go. Elective surgeries are locked down. Okay. but there are opportunities, and maybe I can connect you to some folks who are having some successes, at least reaching out. Obviously, you can't go into surgeries, but after you've assessed your remote capabilities, sort of the next step in what I call analysis before we get into the plan is really looking at what is the reality. Okay, and I look at it from three perspectives. One, you're the leader, the sales leader in the middle, but really understanding the reality of your customers. And that's really where it starts at the top, because that's going to drive your strategies and your tactics for the next little while. Are your customers, are you able to speak to your customers? How do you speak to your customers? But I also believe you want to understand where are your salespeople at, and where's your boss / your company at. And of course, the three key areas, planning, leadership, and positive mindset, all come into play in each of these areas. So in terms of analysis or looking at the reality, why don't you turn to your workbook and let's look at our customers. Maybe you want to jot some notes down in terms of really gaining a better understanding of where your customers are at. Do you know what their biggest fears are? Do you know what their concerns are and what their needs are? So if you want to jot that down, and let's see if we can, I guess if you guys can unmute yourself, and if someone wants to jump in and share from a customer perspective one of their fears, or if you want to type it into the chat section, concerns or needs, and understanding why they feel that way is an important analysis to be able to move forward.
So, Stephen, this is Lloyd.
Oh, Lloyd,
so
okay.
when I think
Beautiful.
about our healthcare professionals' needs, if I'm putting myself in their shoes,
Yes.
They're the front line of the COVID-19 response. They're also not only dealing with sick patients, but they're dealing with sick staff.
Yes.
And so in my mind, that has to be a major concern for many of our customers.
100%, Lloyd. And we've got a number of people from the pharmaceutical industry, right? You're Amgen?
That's correct.
Okay, that's a small pharma company. Yeah, so, okay, good point. And how is that impacting them in terms of what their needs might be? Any needs?
Well, I not only, do I think about their needs relative to being able to get the necessary supplies that they need, et cetera, but it's also to meet the needs of their normal patient population. And some of these individuals have chronic illnesses.
Yes.
And so, and what we haven't even covered yet, because we've just been focused on their professional life, is they also have families, and those families have needs, and many of the children of their families have needs, because a lot of the children, at least here in the state of California, are all being homeschooled now.
Yes.
And so they're dealing with a lot.
Okay, those are great points. And I think, as you eloquently stated, we need to be very conscientious of those when we're looking at what our goals are and how we can service those customers' needs. Anyone else want to share? Because each industry has different, there's some very common ones that you mentioned in terms of family, staff, but does anyone else want to jump in and share from a customer perspective, share what industry you're in and some of the biggest fears your customers are facing?
Sure, Steve. It's Brian from Adelaide in Australia here.
Go ahead, Brian.
My customers are in the media who are really copping a caning right now because, of course, in advertising, they live off the retail cycle.
Right, right.
Many of them are closed because some businesses, it's mandated that they've been closed by the government.
Yes.
Their biggest concern is maintaining their staff as long as they can, and there is government support to be able to do that.
Okay.
Which so far has been legislated to work out to be about 6 months. But effectively, small to medium businesses here in this country, they can apply for their employees to be paid or have their pay subsidized to the rate of about 70% of the median wage. But even then, because nobody knows quite how long this will last or what the new normal will be like coming out the other side, the concern is, of course, whether the cash is going to last. So
Okay.
cash flow is a critical concern. there is a
100%.
small number of businesses doing quite well, actually.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
Mm.
And that's the interesting thing, because one size fits all doesn't work. And, maybe as an organization, I've got a client in the cybersecurity business. And guess what? Once you go from, I don't know, 100 people logging into 500, it creates all types of issues for the organization. So if you're selling security, maybe you're very busy. I have a client, a friend actually, works with a client who is head of Dell in Canada. And, not to say that you want to be ride the ambulance or run beside the ambulance, but companies need to pick up their server capacity. I was concerned because our internet has dropped a couple times over the last few days, just because volume is up. I forget what they said, like it's doubling. So again, it relates to industry, but if there's opportunities, you kind of want to replan for those as well.
Well, certainly overall, it works out to be quite a devastating loss in advertising, which is turning out to be a concern for those companies. But as we were just saying, there are some categories that are doing quite well. One of them is actually menswear and men's shirts, because lots of people doing webinars and online meetings want to look okay, at least from the top down.
How about shorts? Sales of shorts
wear
must
the
have gone up.
shorts and underwear underneath. So nobody sees that. Interestingly enough, one of the advertising categories that sprung up out of the blue have been family planning clinics. And I guess they're kind of anticipating what's going to happen after so many people have been locked down in their houses for a fair period of time.
Well, on Facebook, I'll make one joke and then move on, because I don't want to get distracted. But on Facebook, somebody posted that I've been home for 3 days, and I think my wife is going to speak to the HR department about harassment. So
that's outstanding.
I didn't make it up. So I just want to make sure we're all kind of understanding. Hey, let's capture. I've put some capture places within the workbook, assuming you all have the workbook. If not, make sure you download it. And really, to me, this is the starting base of understanding what we want to do. What is the reality of the situation? Again, different for every industry. Some are common concerns, because what I want to know next, so after you've done that for each of your stakeholders, is how can you help? Okay, so one example that I heard was cash flow issues. Well, I know some companies are offering financial terms, better financial terms, maybe deferring payments for 90 days. So if you can each, if you're working on your plan, really what you can be asking yourself now in terms of analysis. So, hey, we're meeting our customers' needs, fears, and concerns, is what can we offer that's maybe different and fits their needs, not just for our needs that, hey, we want to sell, but really shifting our focus. Is there education you can do? Also understanding, what is the best way you can communicate with them? Many, as you mentioned, maybe you're having challenges to, obviously you can't be in the OR, but maybe there's different ways to communicate with your clients. And then really understanding how often you can communicate. So Alyssa, I'll give you guys a few minutes maybe to jot down some thoughts as to, and maybe you're already doing this. And if you are, kudos. Maybe there's some ideas that could be shared and applied to different industries. Alyssa, I'm going to pick on you next because I see your name up here in the. Okay.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. Hi, Stephen.
Oh, hi, Alyssa. So again, I want to make this interactive, and are there any programs? Remind us what industry you're in.
I'm in the biotech industry as well.
Okay.
Yeah, my company, we manufacture and distribute point-of-care diagnostic tests.
Oh, wow. So anything to do with COVID-19 at this point, or?
Actually, yes. We are sourcing an instant COVID test.
Oh, wow.
It's a whole blood test, and you get your results in 15 minutes. So that's pretty exciting for us. And all of our clients are just jumping on it because that the lab testing, it's kind of hard to come by to qualify to get a lab test, and then also the wait time, it could be up to 8 days or longer. So it's a pretty exciting times for us.
Okay, so tell us obviously your customers just want to get a hold of your product. Do you have supply?
Actually, yeah. So our biggest hurdle right now, we're on a large log of back orders just because we've had so much interest from our clients. So our issue right now is just finding enough tests, sourcing enough tests, getting them over here, and dispersing them to our clients.
Okay.
So that's our biggest hurdle right now. But most of our target audience is more treatment centers like rehabs,
Okay.
and then also staffing companies. So our staffing companies, they're all pretty much closed down unless they're staffing for essential business. But most of them have kind of closed their doors for the time being. So that's pretty, unfortunate. But rehab centers, they're considered an essential business, so they're still up and running. They're pretty much at normal census. Sometimes some of them have dipped, some of them are more, but they're still utilizing, we sell instant drug tests to them. So they're still utilizing those, and they're also utilizing our coronavirus tests.
So what are you doing? Are you trying to expand your marketplace, or your existing clients, basically it's just finding enough supply for them?
Yes, so existing clients, because they are my clients and I love to take good care of them. I am telling them about our tests first. But yes, we are expanding to other markets, primary care, internal medicine, laboratories.
Wow.
That's basically hospitals as well. So yeah, our hardest part right now is just getting our name out there. And there is other competition that is supplying the same test. But again, it's just more of getting everyone's name out there and letting everyone know these tests are available. Because there are people that just don't have access to testing, and they need it now, and they can't qualify for a lab test, so they can't wait for a lab test. So this is just the next best thing, which is really awesome.
Wow, you're in an exciting area. So,
Yeah.
Eric, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, if you don't mind, because my comment goes back with also with your previous slide. But I just want to say that in this unusual situation, sometimes that can bring to the company an opportunity. And let me explain quickly. Is just like sometimes you have a product there where you have few supporters part of the account. And I'm in a pharmaceutical company, so I'm dealing with hospitals. But also because it didn't go through, let's say, the P&T committee and so on, and there is no protocol. Sometimes you can have an access to get a chance to get a clinical trial because they don't have anything to lose, or they are desperate to find out a solution.
Right.
So you're offering them that type of program at no cost, just to give them an experience with your products, but also, as you know, it's hard to communicate with them, and sometimes you cannot directly communicate with the right person. You must go with a third person who knows that key contact. So I just thought to bring you that point. Other people who attend to your seminar today might add that experience too.
Okay, so being able to offer like a clinical experience with your product, given this time. How about you, Luigi? Anything you're doing? Just go ahead. Alyssa, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just saying thank you, Eric, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry about that.
Okay,
Thank you for that advice. That's very nice. Thank you.
Okay. Luigi, anything that you're doing to communicate better with your customers, and how often you're communicating? Okay, he may have gone elsewhere. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead. So one of the things that you want to sort of do before you start getting into your plan is the analysis. Do you have the right remote capabilities? I'll come right back in a second, Lou. Have you analyzed where your client's at, where your people are at? Even your boss may need some help, or your company may need some help, and then what programs you can offer them, because now it's really shifting, I believe, from our goals to very much a focus on helping our customers. So before I move forward, Luigi, did you want to add anything on ways you're communicating with your clients? You may just want to unmute yourself. Okay, I'm gonna move forward if you want to save that thought. So here's where we get into the crux of a plan, and this is I guess what I call the Steve Rosen focused focused way of planning. In this day and age, or from this situation, I guess a couple questions to ask yourself, and it could go either way. Are your goals right now, as they sit, realistic? Okay, your sales goals, Alyssa, yours might have just gone way up. Others, sales are no longer a goal for now, right? Or they're much less of a goal. And the question is, do you need to reset them? And if you do, let's run through this process. Okay, and if you go to your 90-day reaction plan template, really the question to ask yourself is, what do you, SMART goals, but what do you want to achieve in the next 90 days, and what does success look like? So if you guys want to just jot down, think what's critical. And I really do believe in most cases there's a need to reset goals. It could be up, nothing wrong with that, or maybe it's down, or maybe it's shifting your goals to other things that are important. So I'm gonna give you guys about 30 seconds to do that, and then really ask some people to jump in with their thoughts. Maybe Katie had put up a comment here and a couple comments. So Katie, if you want, when you're ready, if you want to jump in and maybe just define one of your goals, and it could be I'm not sure what level you're at, if it's at the regional level or if it's the national level, what an important goal would be if you're going to pick 3 of them. Okay, so Lydia put engaged, full team engagement and support. So Lydia, do you want to jump in on that? Do you want to unmute yourself and share, or you're good?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, like we're in sales business, we're in pharma. So
Yes.
it's a very important time for us to understand the internal and the external factors that is affecting our work. As you were saying, success doesn't look as usual as a target objective anymore, and sales is not number one. So what we're trying to achieve now is make sure that our team are fully engaged. They feel they're supported.
Okay.
They have whatever they need to pass through this period, and at the same time, do the same for our customers. So we want to make sure that they feel we are there to support them, so help whatever we can do to support the patients they are dealing with, and keep that partnership ready and stronger throughout the process.
Okay, so in essence, if I were to summarize, one is focusing on employee engagement, and 2, your second goal will be to fully support your clients and maintain that relationship. Any sense how you measure those things? Have you looked at that? Come the end of 90 days, how do you know if you're successful?
Well, we are checking like internally, we're doing on a daily and even weekly checkup with the team to make sure that they are fully engaged. We have the plans. We're working on a learning curve together so that they can leverage some of their skills as well. On the other part, we're with the customers. We're trying to engage with them in any way they are seeing suitable. It's difficult, it's not easy, especially with those in the healthcare system right
Yes.
now, and they're fully engaged and they don't have enough time. However, we're trying to find opportunities to make them understand that we are there to support, not to add a burden. And this is paying off in many ways, where they do accept the sort of engagement, appreciate, even with a small message or a small email, writing back and appreciating our support.
Okay. So some of the tactics here, some of your contacts obviously are not face-to-face, it's email. Are you using text? Are you using video conferencing? What are you finding?
Yeah, we're currently working from home, so
Okay.
we are not in the field anymore.
Yes.
And so it's mainly either phone, emails, or video calls, as any form that is preferred by the customer outside, as long as they are okay with that, because
Okay.
they have different requirements as well.
Okay. And I assume everyone is on the team. Which division are you with?
Sales, pharma.
Which pharma division? Neuroscience?
Yeah, neuroscience.
Okay. Okay. So yes, I've had Ben Massingham in a conference call that we did a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And okay, so those are good. Anything else want to jump in?
Could I add a comment, Steve?
Yes, Manny, please.
I've kind of taken the approach. I'm managing a team for Ontario in the orthopedics medical device industry. So we have had to adjust our goals. Sales are sort of dried up now because non-elective surgeries are completely on hold across the board.
Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah.
So what we've, when I think about a manager's role, for myself, I think about 3 different hats that we wear. One is manager, so you're managing KPIs and activities and sales objectives. And because sales are non-existent right now,
Yeah.
there's other 2 hats that I think about. One is coaching. So we're spending a lot of time coaching and training and trying to keep, one of the other people mentioned keeping rapport or keeping, what was the word she used? Morale high, like
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
making sure
Motivation,
communication
morale. Yeah.
and frequent contact with all my team. And the other thing is leadership. So hand in hand with motivation again and morale. So I've kind of put the manager hat aside and focused on coaching and leadership
Okay. That's
for
great.
now.
So you had mentioned that training is an important component. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, our company has assigned training. We're very product. There's a ton of different products that we have to sell. Our reps have to sell in the field. So
yeah,
the training program is significant. Everyone has multiple things that they have to do every day, basically right now while they're working from home.
Okay, so is there a goal in terms of sort of product knowledge, a certain, having everyone achieve a certain level of product knowledge by the time you go back? I know.
Absolutely, yeah. It is a moving target though, because you alluded to it earlier. Like we don't know when we're going to come out of this. So
yeah, well, that's the challenge. That's why I'm trying to at least get people focused. My impression is a lot of people have managed week to week. In some cases, companies have been doing training and they're saying, okay, what else can we do? So 90 days will go by quickly, right? As we all know, we're tomorrow will be a month. So I guess what I'm urging folks to do is kind of look at a larger horizon, which isn't a long time, but look at 90 days and maybe set some goals as to what is a certain level of training, because a lot of folks on today, I've noticed there's a theme: pharma, biotech, and maybe that's because the folks I hang out with, looking at maybe being more clear in direction of what the expectation is. So when you come out, your team's level of knowledge has gone from whatever a 3 or 3 on 5 to a 4.5 on 5.
Stephen, I have a question for you.
Yes, Lloyd.
It's Lloyd. What are your thoughts on, as we are putting together these plans, how much demand we place on our sales teams? And what I mean is, how do we balance that with the fact that they also have multiple needs at home, because many of them are being professionals from 8 to 5, as well as caretakers, as well as educators, as well as, and so what is the realistic expectation that they may be able to hit these various educational training milestones? Just your thoughts on that.
Okay, that's a great question, and I don't think I made a note of it here, but you just twigged a discussion we had a couple of weeks back. And what some companies are doing is they're actually building their expectations, including some salespeople. So it's not just a top-down, hey, this is what we want to do, but part of that is the communication as to what is realistic. If we, not that we separate any 3 of these subjects, but I put leadership last, and we need to be compassionate about what people are experiencing. And I speak to that, and maybe when we drill down, I didn't drill down into our people in this process because I didn't think we'd have enough time. But when we look at that, is let's be realistic. So what I've learned is sometimes 12 o'clock, which I scheduled this for, is not good because people are serving their kids lunch. So your question is, what's realistic? I think we want to go and do some acid tests on this because, maybe the goal is, and I know the training folks have been asked to do a lot, is what is realistic in terms of a goal over the next, whatever, 30, 60, 90 days, and then build to get there. And I think we need to take that into consideration, that yes, people have families. This is much bigger than just our salespeople. It's a global issue. And I think we do need to be conscientious of that. And maybe it's working around. And if you're offering certain training, that you offer at different times, so people can actually adjust their schedule accordingly. But I think on the flip side, as I read something yesterday, we also want to make sure that companies are being very generous and keeping people on staff and paying salaries, that we do use the time to improve the organization. And I'm not saying what the goal should be, and if it's not sales, training, product knowledge are always things that we have trouble getting to. So putting some goals around that, I think are very good. I mean, it's a good way to go. And then it's, of course, being realistic and understanding. So it's balancing the two. I don't think if it's top down and, because we also want to manage motivation, engagement, and mindset.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. I haven't given a definitive answer, but we have to take people into consideration, because this crisis is all about people and how it's affecting people, and we can't lose sight of that.
Stevie, if I can add
bonjour, Melissa.
Hi. So I just want to briefly comment on what Lloyd just said. So for us at Novartis, what we did is do it like individual plan with the associates. And we are very cognizant of the fact that the capacity for one individual will be completely different from another one. You pointed out that some individual will have like young kids at home that will have to homeschool them, or maybe another one will have to take care of their parents. So the capacity will be completely different from one individual to another one. So I believe we owe it to them, to individual, some sort of plan. And at Novartis, in our franchise at least, what we did is just raise your hand if you feel that you need help, and raise your hand if you feel that you have extra capacity, because some folks will have extra capacity these days because some things go slower. And that type of mindset that we have created increased the motivation aspect of our team. So that was really well received, making sure that we do individual things for them.
Okay. And I think your team is doing a great job, by the way. So so congratulations. And not everybody has 3 children at home of young age, right?
Exactly.
So thanks for sharing that. And that's sort of what I was alluding to, but it's a great comment. So once we set our goals, and if you notice, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I think I did, but I love the number 3. And the reason why I love the number 3 is because it's hard to do more than 3 things really well. At my age, it's hard to remember more than 3 things, but a lot of companies try to do 10 or 8 or 6 things, and they find they do nothing well. They do them all mediocre. So narrowing down your goals, for me, what it does is provides clarity of direction, because they're easily memorable, easy to memorize or easy to remember. And then you can probably do them extremely well. So from resetting your goals, and let me make the assumption that you've either sat down and reset your goals. And if you're managing, Melissa, you're managing a group of salespeople. I don't care what level you're at. Maybe they align together, which is good. But assuming your goal is to make sure that you're using everyone's capacity and that you're building individual plans, I think that's great. And then I assume there's some way of measuring, have the individual plans been achieved? So from resetting your goals and expectations and then making those clear, that's a crucial next step. Bernard, do you want to jump in before I move to the next slide? Bernard, can you unmute yourself? Okay, so when you unmute yourself, let me know. I believe it's in the bottom left-hand corner. So from resetting your goals, and if you look at your sheet, which this is the full sheet, and some people have seen me use this in other areas, but setting the course. So we have our goals in our revised plan or a reaction plan. Then really, and if you notice, I've outlined the number 3 here. What are the 3 critical things you need to do to achieve your new goals? Okay, and to me, when I talk about this, let me give an example. well, let me skip ahead here. How are you going to achieve each of these critical success factors? So if I think of one that, let's say Melissa talked about, building individual plans for each of our people to help them get better. I guess one of the critical, or helping each of our people get better, one of them is building individual plans. So it's thinking at a different level. If you look top level, what are your goals? 2 is, what are your critical success factors? I'm trying to think of some examples. Let me just skip that. I think I put some examples down. You know, if your goal is engaging your clients, what are some things you can do? Well, maybe you can run some education programs. If it's helping your clients out and really being in a position where after this is all over, that they think you're the best supplier in town, maybe there's certain programs you can be running. So why don't you take a few minutes to think about 2 things. You've hopefully outlined your goals. What are the critical things you need to do to achieve your goals? 3, and then how are you going to track them? Or how are you going to get there? Sorry, how are you going to get there? And then how are you going to track them? So if anyone has one example, or I'm happy to give you some time to think through, take a goal. What is a critical success factor to get there? What are some things you can do to get there? And then how are you going to measure it? This comes down to a 1-page plan. Luigi, you still there? Who haven't I? Peter, how are you?
Hi, Steve. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks.
Now, Peter, you're in the consulting industry, are you not?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm working with predominantly it's companies in manufacturing and the design-led field.
Okay, and have your customers shut down, or are they still in business, like still manufacturing?
Yeah, we I had a kind of like I guess a mastermind call today with some clients just to get them all together, talk about common challenges. For many of them, they've actually now sort of closed the manufacturing and they've put their teams on furlough. So
okay, yeah.
We were talking about, okay, what can we set as goals? And one of the areas we were looking at came down to looking at a strategy, if you like, for the content that they share with customers during this period of time. So much in line with the way you were talking about educating the customers at this time, and making sure that the sales teams are actually quite fluent with the technology to be able to run a meeting, present maybe the PowerPoint information, or use a whiteboard in the meetings and feel really confident about switching between those and actually using it. So I think all of us are just kind of getting up to speed, maybe more than ever, with new technology.
Okay. Does anyone else want to share some of their one of their critical success factors?
Sure, Steve. It's Brian here.
Thanks, Brian.
Much like Peter, I'm in a consulting role / services, if you like, as I was saying before, to the media industry. Most of my customers are still operating, but my business has gone to zero income because I'm not really an essential service.
Yes.
But I've planned for that, so I'll be able to get through this period. And what I'm taking the opportunity to do as a goal is to build the brand of my small organization with current clients, but especially with prospects. So as I consult to sales teams in the media, what I've been doing is sending out information which they can then rebrand under their own name to share with their particular clients. So I've set a measurement there of at least 2 ideas or things they can pass on for each week but so far been exceeding that because it's driven by kind of a minimum of 2, but where an idea strikes you as this is something their clients could really use, sending that to them so that they can pass it on to their client bases.
Excellent. Okay. Okay. So actually, I'm going to save. I'm going to be available for questions and answers at the end, and want to make sure I answer all of them. The 5th step. So if you see the core of this plan, I'm going to move from this page. Is you've done some analysis. Do you need any help on remote? What is the reality of your clients, your people, your company? How can you help them? And then from that analysis is, what are your goals? What are the critical things you need to do to achieve your goals? And then how are you going to get there? And it could be narrowed down to 1 page. And what that helps is 1, clarity of direction. You're not spending 6 days building a plan. It's about moving quickly, but getting your thoughts to paper. And then really the last step is review. And there's no plan without review that works. So what I suggest is you have a dashboard actually on the sheet can use as a dashboard because you have how do we get there. So you have some metric that you're going to measure your engagement, your training, your customer engagement, and then really saying, hey, can we review this once a month to make sure we're on track? So at the end of 3, 4, 5, however long this tsunami lasts, that we are achieving the goals we set for ourselves, because at some point even senior management wants to understand that. So what I suggest is planning a time, the end of April, the end of May, the end of June, to revisit your plan and to actually revise if needed, to work, to communicate this plan to your people so everybody's clear, and then knowing what the next steps are. So 2 quick things, and then I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. Again, I'm happy to help people. I think there's some good concepts in here. Hopefully you all agree, or most of you agree. If you're looking for more support, I kind of looked at how can we make this program work for people who may need some support. Some are doing great. Some other organizations are supporting them. If you're in the training group, if you don't mind me lumping everyone together, maybe there's some things here that I can help you roll out to your people. But here's a couple options. I really came up with 2 options. And if you want to get involved with like-minded leaders like we've done today in a less formal session, but more in terms of working on your specific needs, I'm going to be launching a virtual mastermind group, which if you go to starresults.com/lead in a crisis, it'll take you to the landing page for this program. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that this program is opened up. I'm looking at doing it over a 3-month session period, and really the cost is $199 US. And really what you get is every month there's a 60-minute monthly interactive online session that you can speak with like-minded leaders and share ideas. Hopefully it's not all in one industry. And this group, really, the goal is to help support each other, share new ideas, share ways to provide, I guess, guidance to overcome any challenges you face. And we're going to max these groups out at 10 people and really try to offer tremendous value. I'll be leading them personally. So you get a sense today as to what my style is like. Option 2, if you want the virtual mastermind group, plus you say, hey, I'm interested in one-on-one coaching, I'm going to open that up. If you go to the same page, starresults.com/lead in a crisis, I'm offering 3 coaching sessions to work through and help you implement this planning process. The other processes we're going to talk about in the other 2 master classes, and ensure that you can effectively implement the stuff we talk about and also work through any challenges you're facing. And usually I charge 3 times this, but it's $1,000 for 3 sessions. And we also give you enrollment into a mastermind group. That's it for promotion. Thank you, Lloyd. And really what I'm going to do now, if you have any questions, I'm here as long as you guys have questions to ask. So I realized AMA means ask me anything. So go ahead. If you want to jump in, ask me anything. Somebody has questions on planning? Still a number of people online, so don't be shy. Katie, do you have any questions? Okay, sorry. Brian, any questions?
Yes, I'm just trying to get a sense of from where you are. How long do you think this period of lockdown and restriction might last? Do you have any guesses?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was talking to, I watch a lot of CNN, and even the experts don't know. My assumption just is that we're probably looking at a 3-month period. We've just gone through a month, so I don't know if it's 2 or 3 additional months. One of my clients who works for a multinational, and they've looked at, they sell to retail. They looked at their business in China, and have a working date of May 4th. I think that may be aggressive, but for me to say with any level of certainty that I know, but I do think as proactive leaders, this was thrust upon us that at least we need to be sort of planning for the next 3 months. And I've had a month experience as to what this looks like from a business perspective. I would use that as my guideline. If it ends sooner, great. Maybe the next stage is your next plan is how do you ramp up once things come back to normal? But I'd have to assume that we're probably looking at a minimum of 60 days, and that's just a guess.
Yeah, here in Australia, we've been fairly fortunate, and with some fairly quick policy on behalf of the government. We found by shutting down flights from China very early in the piece, we certainly saved ourselves from developing an enormous peak.
Oh, that's great.
And by restricting travel quite early, it's offering early indications that that we might have turned the direction of the curve well below what it might otherwise be. And the focus is on now is on community transmission. But what, in terms of making a decision about when people can start to come back to work and on what basis and how quickly, those tests that were just mentioned would be extremely valuable. That's the problem. We're not going to be able to get a scaled way for people to go back to work that's going to be controllable in risk, unless we've got the chance, of course, to be able to test large numbers of people or have them test themselves.
Yes, so that's been an issue now. There was I'm not sure where the article was that I saw quickly today, but New Zealand was referenced as doing a great job shutting things down and, whatever they call it, flattening the curve.
Yeah.
Because of their shutdown. So it was recognized. I'm in Canada, and, it seems that we've done a relatively good job. I'm not sure how readily available testing is. I did reference that I watched CNN, and there seems to be, and Alyssa, if she's still on, could probably speak to this, but as you so eloquently mentioned, testing allows, I guess, the experts to figure out where the disease is at, how many people have gotten it, and what to expect. And I think the US is not going to be in a position to be testing very much people unless there's more tests that come in. But I believe that there was an announcement that it's now being moved to state level as opposed to done at a federal level. So it's a very challenging situation. I guess the bigger you get as a country, the more complex managing that situation is.
Do you mind if I ask Alyssa a question?
Oh, hey, it says, ask me anything.
Okay. Well, Alyssa, with the tests that you're bringing, are you making them available just in the US or in other countries as well?
Oh, yes. So we are, Loch Ness Medical is the US-based company, and then our sister company, BTNX, is Canadian. But yes, we do distribute globally. So I think we have the okay to distribute anywhere. And you're out of Australia, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think we can distribute to Australia, yes.
So are you guys a distributor of the test, or did you guys the manufacturer of the test?
We are just the distributor of this test.
Well, we need distributors. We need to get those things, get them out there. So
exactly. Yes. Very lucky to be one. So I'm very lucky that you know, we were able to get our hands on these tests. So yeah.
And Alyssa, another question. With your test, does it just test to see whether people are currently suffering from the virus, or will it tell if they have had it and it's passed?
That's a great question. So it detects the antibodies, the IgG and IgM antibodies, and it'll detect if you've had it in the past, which is that's more of the most exciting thing about the test, because people will be immune to the virus if they've had it in the past. So it can, say you have a friend or a family member or a patient that thinks they had it a month ago, the lab-based tests are not going to be able to detect if a patient or a person had it a month ago or couple weeks ago, and then they're better now. It won't be able to detect that. Our tests is the only one of the testing available that does that, the antibody tests.
Right.
That's fantastic.
And then to answer your question about currently, so the antibody test will detect 7 days after incubation period. So the day you've gotten in contact with the virus, our studies have shown 6 to 7 days after contact with the virus, it'll detect a positive.
Right. Okay. Most interesting.
I haven't picked on everybody here. Darren, I see you're still on. Do you have any questions? Let's see if I can unmute you. You know, it's hard to do two things at one time. Unmute. Oops. Oh, I don't know if I'm able to. I guess you've got to unmute yourself. I'm not able to unmute you. Any other questions? I see there's Prejo, John, Dave, Bernard, Audrey Douglas. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. There's still a number of people on, so I'm here to answer any questions about planning, about whatever questions or uncertainty you might have along managing your sales team. Okay. Well, if not, then thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'm going to send out a survey just to get some feedback on the content and the flow. Alyssa, do you want to, I see you're still unmuted. Anything you want to add? Where do we contact you to get individual tests?
Oh,
Teasing you.
No.
Teasing you.
Yes, I wish I could just distribute them individually, but they're for medical professional use only, unfortunately. But I just wanted to say, Stephen, thank you very much for this. It was very insightful, and I'm really looking forward to next week. I just wanted to unmute myself to say thank you.
Have a great week, everybody. Thank
Stephen.
you, and I'll just end the meeting.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Brian.